what I see as the failure to separate church from state. Now, it may not be a problem as such, but it's certainly a problem in relationship to the relation between Islam and the West, because we separate church from state. Now, there's fundamentalists in the United States, Christian fundamentalists, who think that that separation is a mistake.
In this video, we're going to listen to Jordan Peterson talk about Islam. Just to give you some perspective, my name is Barak. I'm from America. I live in Israel now. One of my best friends from high school is Muslim. I've been in his mosque, his family's mosque, to see his cousin get married. I've broken the Ramadan fast with him and his family. He celebrated Passover at my house. I've literally built medical facilities for Arab Bedouin children when I was 6 years old. I'm somebody who comes from the background of trying to bridge communities and coexist with other people. This channel is not about hate. This channel is about trying to expose the truth about things that are happening across the world. And radical Islam is unfortunately one of those things that a lot of people don't like to talk about, but we need to talk about it. Let's take a listen to Jordan and talk about it after.
So, Dr. Peterson, I have a lot of questions that arise from your comments at the Balfour 100 event, your M103 video, your recent discussion with Ayaan Hirsi Ali, and your comments on Islam in the West in general. And in your comments, there's this common theme that one of these things is not like the other. You put the Judeo-Christian tradition on the one side and Islam on the other. Specifically the, quote, complex problem of Islam and the, quote, as a, quote, totalizing system. And before I go further, let me state that if hypothetically a final analysis of Islam resulted in as total a denunciation as your analysis of postmodernism or neo-Marxism, I wouldn't be personally offended at all. This isn't a personal question. In your recent interview with Ayaan Hirsi Ali, she said, Western values are superior to Islamic law and Islamic values. I agree with that, basically, certainly in the context of, let's say, current global affairs. I'll skip the quotes from a Reason magazine interview, but you should read them because hers is a worldview which is very much the West versus Islam, not radical Islam, but Islam, including necessarily the military option. So my question is, at the level of psychological significance of these stories, at the level of mythology and archetype, how is Islam so different from the Judeo-Christian tradition? You know, because Adam, Eve, Hava, Satan, Shaitan, so on and so forth, everything from the fall to the flood. A lot of what you discuss in this lecture series is necessarily part of Islam as well. And in fact, I think one of the strongest criticisms of Islam is that it's perhaps pretty unoriginal. You know, tonight you said that the moral presuppositions of a culture are instantiated in its stories. I see a lot of the same stories. So current global affairs aside, I'm asking at the deepest levels, how different are these stories and the moral presuppositions?
Okay, well, that's a killer question. Well, okay, so the first thing I would say is, fundamentally, I don't know. And so part of the reason that one of the things I'm planning to do is to have a series of discussions, and plenty of people have contacted me about discussing with Ayaan Hirsi Ali, because as you know, she has powerful and serious foes. And they're not happy with her black and white distinction. And so, now I read Infidel, and I really liked that book. Like my sense was that she was a heroine.
By the way, for those of you who don't know who they're talking about, Ayaan Hirsi Ali, I believe, is Somali born. She's a freedom rights activist, a human rights activist, a New York Times bestseller, and she's been very outspoken about radical Islam and what's happening in the world as a black woman. And she has received a lot of pushback from the Muslim community, from the West, and has received a lot of hate, not just because of her coming out against what's happening with the spread of a radical religious ideology, but she's been on the receiving end of a lot of racism towards the same people who accuse her of these things, which I find very telling when she has every single right to say something given her background. In fact, these are the kinds of people that we should be listening more to. Just wanted to give you that context. Ayaan Hirsi Ali, you should take a look.
Now, what that means in relationship to Islam, that's a different story, because she came out of a totalitarian, let's say, family structure in a relatively totalitarian society. And you could make the case that there's a correspondence between that and Islam, and you could make the case that there isn't. And of course, that's the critical issue. And so there's a couple of things that I can't wrap my head around easily in relationship to Islam. And so one is what I see as the failure to separate church from state. And that's a problem. Now, it may not be a problem as such, But it's certainly a problem in relationship to the relation between Islam and the West, because we separate church from state. Now, there's fundamentalists in the United States, Christian fundamentalists, who think that that separation is a mistake. So it's not only an idea that's rooted in Islam that those should be united. But it's definitely a problem with regards to our coexistence, because that's a fundamentally different presumption. Okay, so that's problem number one. Problem number two for me, and again, this may be a consequence of my ignorance, which I'm trying to rectify. Muhammad was a warlord, and I don't know what to do about that fact. Like, one thing you can say about Christ, hypothetically, let's say, I'm not talking about a historical reality necessarily, although I'm not denying it either, is that of all the things he was, warlord was definitely not one of them. And I don't know what to do about that. And so I don't know how to reconcile that. And I don't know how to reconcile, like, not only was Muhammad a warlord, which I don't think is an unreasonable thing to proclaim, the expansion that he initiated was unbelievably successful. I mean, within 600 years, it was the biggest empire the world had ever seen. And it demolished Byzantine Christianity, which is something that Western people don't even know. You know, I've read thinkers who said that the West was so traumatized, culturally, let's say, by the demolition of Byzantine Christianity, that we can't even study it now.
And you don't have people in the world today who are anti-Byzantine or anti-Roman or anti-Babylonian. Like, there's no such thing, right? But anti-Semitism and the scapegoating against Jewish people and blaming them for a lot of the world's problems has been the popular opinion for a really long time. You don't hear people talk about the anti-Romans in the world, the anti-Babylonians, the anti-Byzantines, the anti-Ottomans, whatever you want to call it. They don't exist. But the immediate takeover and the destruction through religious ideologies was done based on Muhammad and based on the teachings of what Islam was supposed to be about. I'm not saying Islam as a religion has no place on earth. What I am saying is there are consistent themes of people who claim to be what they're doing towards a goal in their life, whether it's Hamas against Israel, whether it's the people in the West trying to take down churches and build up mosques, doing it in the name of God, shouting Allahu Akbar, praising Hamas, calling them a resistance movement, calling them a liberation movement. You don't have to question where these things derive from when all you listen to is what they're saying. In the name of God, for the Quran. This comes from a religious perspective, a radical religious perspective, because there are many moderate Muslims in the world that I love and know and I've spent time with in Morocco, in Israel. So it's not all of them. And that differentiation is really important. There are a lot of people who are willing to criticize what is going on with the spread of a radical political and religious movement and ideology, but they aren't willing necessarily to always make the differentiation between the radicals, the extremists, should I say, and moderates, because they exist. Radicals anywhere and extremists anywhere, on any scale, religion, anywhere, is not okay.
And so, I don't know if that's true, but I don't know that it's not true either. And the Buddhists were wiped out of Afghanistan, and we saw that echoed in the Taliban's destruction of those great Buddhist monuments. And so what I'm hoping is that there's a bridge. There better be a bridge. And that's why I want to have these discussions, because I'd like to understand if there's a bridge. And so lots of people have sent me people who I should talk to, who they think represent Islam far better than Ayaan Hirsi Ali. And perhaps they're correct. And hopefully I'll get an opportunity to talk to them, because I would like to know why. I would like to know if what I think is wrong. Because if it's wrong, it's important that I know it's wrong. But at the moment, I don't know it's wrong, and B, I'm not sure what it signifies. So, and I don't think anyone is sure, right? Because we have this entangling of the civilizations. You know, and there's other things too, like I'm not very happy with the Saudi Arabs and the Wahhabis. I don't think they're our allies. I don't see how any Western woman can possibly think that they're our allies. And I'm not happy with the fact that the petrodollars that we send them are transformed in substantial part into the kind of propaganda that's definitely a threat to the West. And I'm not very happy with the fact that our politicians appear stupidly blind to that. Now, that may again be a consequence of my ignorance. It's certainly possible. But those are the sorts of things that I can't reconcile. And so, I've also seen parallels between the ideas that I'm presenting here and other religious traditions, Taoism, Buddhism, Hinduism. It's harder for me to bridge the gap with Islam, and I'm not sure why that is. I think it has something to do with the things that I just laid out. Now, what I don't know about Islam would fill very many volumes, many of which I have sitting on my shelves at home right now because I want to do the reading, as I progress through this, but yeah.
So just something to note, like when you take Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who has been talking, is against not just Islam in general, but against what is going on right now in the world with the radicalization of the religion, which hasn't just begun right now. A lot of it is actually traced to the religion and the origins of the religion itself. If you read the Quran, there are aspects of the Quran that are not deliberately talking about killing, like word for word, go kill, but it's literally hinting at the idea of destructing other people. And Ayaan, who talks about the self-determination for Muslim women, who is opposed to forced marriage, she's opposed to the idea of honoring a child that goes to kill, aka a shaheed, a martyr, opposed to the child labor. She's opposed to all of these, like literally the children inside of the Gaza Strip are the ones who helped create and build the tunnels that were used to smuggle weapons into the Gaza Strip from Egypt, as well as the tunnels that were built underground that Hamas is hiding in right now to hold hostages, as well as the tunnels that they've been building for a long time to go underneath the ground into proper Israel soil that they were, like, children built these. They were compensated. We need more people in the Muslim community to be talking about these things. Not just Barak, not just me over here in Israel talking about these things. This is why I appreciate the voices like her, Masab Hassan Youssef, Luai Ahmed, Jonathan, I'm drawing a blank on his last name, he's from Lebanon, from the LGBTQ community. His family fled Lebanon when he was 9 years old. Now he's Israeli, literally a Christian living here. Like, we need more of these voices to be speaking up. And so if this video, if you ever come across her work or any of their works, like, make sure that you're sharing their stuff, not just mine. And with that being said, thank you so much for everybody's support. This channel stays afloat and continues to stay alive because of your support. The links to helping me out and helping our mission out are in the description. A little bit more about that here right now. Here are 4 ways you can help us grow if you believe in our mission. On Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal, you can directly contribute to helping this message grow and reach more people across the world. If you want to join the inner circle, join our Patreon with different tiers, and of course, our Discord community, which is free with people from all across the world. The links to every single one are in the description. And last but not least, to the other Barak community, I love you. Ani ohev otchem. I'll see you guys next time.